People, you got to till the ground. When God made Adam and put him in the Garden of Eden, glory be to God, he told him to tend to it, to keep it up, to work the ground, to till the ground. It was his responsibility for the upkeep of that garden, right? Just like it's our responsibility for the upkeep of our garden, our spiritual garden. Our mindset, glory be to God, it's not a one-time thing. When you were called to this thing and you accepted it, you got to know that it's a constant, ongoing process. You got to be consistent, persistent, getting in the presence of God, setting a time aside for that. You have to pray, glory be to God. You have to seek God, because guess what? You can never stop encountering God. You can never stop experiencing God. You can never stop learning things about God. So it is our responsibility for the upkeep of our garden. It's an ongoing process. That's why the Bible tells us, you know what I'm saying? Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It starts in the mindset. That is the main place where the enemy attacks. It starts in the mindset. So we are responsible for their upkeep. That's why it tells us that we are to cast down imagination and everything that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. If it does not align with the word of God, if it opposes what the word of God says, we are to cast that down and make it obedient to the word of God. Glory be to God. And to be made new in the attitudes of our minds. It starts in the mind. We are responsible for that upkeep. Our spiritual garden, glory be to God. We are to do that work. We are to do that work. Ongoing process. Remember, whoever endures to the end. It's from the time you start to the very end, either when you take your last breath or when Jesus comes back. But it's an ongoing process, people. That is our responsibility. Glory be to God. And that's the message today. You got to till the ground. If you want to continually grow spiritually, glory be to God, you got to till the ground. You got to work the ground. Come on now. If you want to keep bearing fruit, the fruits of the Spirit, remember, you can't do it without spending time in the presence of God. If you want a relationship to grow, that's like a personal relationship. You got to do what? You got to take time out and you got to spend time with that person. You got to communicate with that person. You got to nurture that person. You got to be in that person's presence. It's the same way with our relationship with God. Glory be to God. We got to put the time in. We got to set time aside. We got to be deliberate, intentional, glory be to God. So that's the message for today, baby. Till your ground. Till your spiritual ground. Till your mindset. Till your heart, glory be to God. Keep it up. Cast down to anything that opposes the word of God.